Before we start, we have to say hello to my gorgeous assistant. And as a quick reminder, if you see someone handling sharp objects, do not try to do what they do at home. Daggers and knives, sharp things, should never be thrown at people. Alright, I think we're all here and all very excited for an Outsiders preview video, so yeah, this should be fun. Let's get started. I think we're going to need some stuff. We could do. Yeah. Two. Something a little sharper as well. Now, as a reminder, do not try this at home. Right, I've done it. The floor is officially dead. This is hilarious to me. You know, I've been hinting at it all week. I've been talking about how the set's making me nauseous, trying to kind of like throw people off about, you know, the plagues and the poxes and stuff like that. But really, it's just that hurl is slang for throwing up off. So if anyone guessed that, well, congratulations. And on the face of this is a 0 for 3. It's a rare, so it might come in multiple colors, but a lot of the cards we've seen this set aren't. So that's a bit of a mystery. I think this card as a blue is very interesting. As an initial cost to play hurl, you may pay 1. If you do, it gains when this attacks, target dagger you control deals 1 damage to target hero. If damage is dealt this way, the dagger has hit, destroy the dagger. Right? So let's break this down a few things. So firstly, you're playing this card, you're paying an additional 1. So that makes this a 1 for 3 that blocks for 2. So not super efficient. If you do that, prior to this card, you know, actually going through the defense step and the block step and the attack reaction step, you're going to throw one of your daggers at your opponent. It doesn't deal weapon damage, so it's not as useful with stuff like Zephyr Needle and things like that. It does 1 damage, but if that damage goes through, the dagger is considered to have hit, right? Which means you can see stuff like Spider's Bite. And one of the reasons I was delaying this video is I kind of wanted to wait until I saw the new assassin weapon, which I'm sure is going to have an on-hit effect, and see whether that had synergy with this, right? Unfortunately, I haven't seen that yet, but maybe you have, and you can chime in the comments as to how exciting this is, you know. Is it good with the weapons we've seen? Is it good with the other preview cards we've seen? Then the interesting thing, which is, of course, that it destroys the dagger. So this, of course, takes me down one of two lines of thought. Either this is a card to close out a draft game, and that is all it will ever be. So this is a card when 2 assassins are going fatigue at each other in a draft game, but one of them gets to 1 life and everyone's just blocking. You have this. Remember, this 1 damage can't be blocked. It can be prevented with things like Quell, but it can't be blocked in the same way that other attacks can be. So, you know, you have this context of 1 damage, and if I can get someone down to, say, 2, and I have 2 of these in my deck and I play them late game, I don't need my daggers anymore because I've dealt 1 damage to them. The kicker to that is, of course, if there are prevention effects going around, that damage isn't going to get dealt. So you need this to hit. Like, if this damage gets prevented and you don't get what you need from it, then you have lost, essentially, because you don't have your weapon anymore. Your opponent does have a weapon. So this is a very tricky card, but I think it has got its place in draft. Now, if this is a supported archetype, that would be cool. If there's like a throwing weapon piece of equipment that gives you multiple charges, or if your dagger isn't destroyed the first time you throw it. But I could kind of see this just being a standalone card, you know, quite fun, quite interesting, not supported with any other mechanics, but just there as an interesting option in draft for assassins and ninjas to help them close out games in time that are a bit more grindy. I think I'd be fine with it if that was the case. Like, I would love if there was a whole like throwing weapon theme and support and all that kind of stuff. But as a standalone card, I think this is interesting enough in draft that you could take it and it will provide value to you in terms of getting that 1 point of damage across that closes out a game. I don't think you use it too early on in the game. I don't think you just throw your daggers at people for no reason. But, you know, you can imagine if you've got a dagger that applies blood rot poison and you throw this at your opponent late game, you're dealing 1 damage to them. You're also putting a token there that's going to deal another 2 damage. So you're dealing potentially 3 damage to them. And they're going to have to stop and spend their resources to deal with the blood rot token. So they're not going to be able to deal with this in the same way. I think that's where this card gets interesting. It's kind of a late game taking resources away or dealing unpreventable damage that closes out games. So that's kind of where it is. Let me know your thoughts. I think this is a really interesting card. Very happy to spoil it, of course, as always. And, you know, I think it'll be very interesting if this card comes in Rainbow, because I can see a 0 for 1 blue that has the potential to deal 1 difficult to block damage late game being quite good. And obviously it has Go Again as well, so it's just another card that they have to block 2. So, you know, if you combine a 0 for 1 with Go Again, plus an on-hit threatening blood rot token, plus 1 damage, you know, you're starting to see that's 2 or 3 different sources of very low damage, but sometimes to close out a game, you don't need huge amounts of damage. You just need a small bit of damage, and that's going to finish you off. So that's my preview. Thanks for tuning in. As a reminder, if you have not liked or subscribed, please do. I like my Flesh and Blood content. I like talking about Flesh and Blood. And if you like hearing about Flesh and Blood, then you should probably follow and subscribe to my channel. Talk to you all soon.